Hey, I know it's been a while, so intentional, purposeful planning, financial planning, that is. Hi, it's Finance Nation here. I don't know where this is going, but there was something that came up in my life, and I was surprisingly calm to myself. And then I texted my mom something, and she said, "Oh, she's on the phone with so and so." And then I had this lightning bulb idea. I am a solutions thinker. And so when you have certain proper planning in your life, when you have certain problems in alignment in your life, whether it's purposeful weight loss, cleaning, um, if it's a goal to have the right job, if it's whatever, financial planning, whatever, if certain things that are your bigger stressors, when those things are in alignment, then other things, when stuff happens, the stress hurts a lot less. I first noticed this for me. I think back in 2017 or so, maybe 2018. And I don't know if I was doing my net worth statement then. And if I wasn't separating my investments from my checking and savings. But it was, what was inspiring me was then the 3%, 4% rates were first going up at the time. And I was like, oh, I need to start doing that. So I think, because I had mostly in investments, and it was stressful every single time something happened because everything was investment. So I would have to pull out of my investments, which I didn't like doing, right? And so then I had started to save, and even just sometimes here and there, one account might have $1 a week or $2 a week, and the next account would have $2 a week or what have you. And I had set up a few of those. And so after a year, say that's $5 a week, $6 a week, whatever, that's $260. After 2 years, it's $500, right? And so if an unexpected $30 expense comes up, you're like, oh, I have this. And being a cashier, you're like, okay, it's a little bit different, as opposed to a different, like I looked up today, CNBC, the living wage in the state of Texas. Right now, it's posted August 30th, 2023. You can look it up maybe. And it said for Texas, $50,497, the state living wage. And so this is 2023. So this is a few years ago. Backdate the inflation, whatever that math is. And so I'm earning significantly less than that, right? And so whatever amount that is, and at that time, it's not going to be, if someone's earning $50,497 a year today, then of course $30 is not going to, they're not going to necessarily need to dig into their savings account necessarily. Of course, as well, if someone only earned $20,000, $30,000 a year and had $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 emergency fund, would they have to go into dig into debt for a $500 emergency or something? But again, the living wage thing, the person could necessarily, depending on their wage, could necessarily say, oh, I can just take $500 out of my check, depending on their living expenses, that you technically decide. You do decide your living expenses. Now, you're like, where does this come in? And it sounds really harsh because it's like, no, I don't decide my living expenses. And yes, I get that because I don't decide certain living expenses. But within a range of scope of thing, there are things, it's like, okay, well, I can skip a country and go across and get a passport and hopefully maybe get a job somewhere else, or move across other states and work somewhere else. A few years ago, I found in Atlanta a bunch of condos on HUD Home Store for $25,000. Looked pretty good in the pictures. So it was like, I was looking at my employer and I was like, maybe I could transfer there and I could own my condo and I have a $25,000 condo. And then, but again, it doesn't mean my expenses would necessarily go down because I have HOA, and then the liability of the property itself. When I had a property before, I've told you this before, I just got foreclosed on and I had become homeless and stuff, but the AC went out and I didn't have AC for a long time. There's stuff that goes wrong in a property, and if you're going to go to closing, you need money down and all that stuff. And so if you don't have the money after you put your money down, you don't have money left over for upfront costs that happen later, you also need that to happen as well. So it's a given, I don't want to say give and take, it's a mind thing as well. And so for me, I was like, do I want to buy that stress as well? For me, there was a lot of my family is in the southern states and a little bit below me in Texas. So, it wasn't the whole thing. But that was something to consider, right? So, with that said, it was an intentional decision, even though, and it was a purposeful decision. And, these life-changing decisions, because that is a life-changing decision for me to say, oh, I'm going to stay the same, even though you're like, no, it's not life-altering. It's a life-altering decision not to alter your life drastically, because it could have necessarily, in that case, I'm still renting, it could have built wealth. It was like 5 years ago, right? So you got to keep these things in mind. And you can, of course, build wealth being rich, poor, whatever. And so it's very frustrating when people get on and they're like, oh, you can only build wealth, doing this or doing that. No. There's active decision making and process thinking. And when someone proposes to you something that you're like, well, what is this? And so on and so forth. So, and what things are for you. Of course, you got to start keeping things in mind. My expenses for the past couple of months have gone up quite a bit. So I have to watch it for next month, big time. I was trying to get my health in check. So, see what I can do about that. See what I can do to bring that quite drastically down. I'm still not in the red, but some things to do. I bought a little small exercise bike pedaling machine. That was one of the things. I bought a new bathroom scale. So those things together too cost me over $100. And just slightly over $100. So, but that is also a decision that I had the freedom to make. And I'm like, I want this in part to get healthier and stuff like that. I wanted more. I wanted a treadmill. The treadmill is now being saved up for. The treadmills that were available had different rates and different ranges. But most of the time it's like, oh, it's this price plus you can pay 3 times that amount or 2 times that amount for the shipping and handling. But we're just going to say we're including the shipping and handling is what I've discovered with all the competitors. So, it's going to be an intentional decision for me to save up, each day, each week, each month for that treadmill. And I don't want to dig further into my savings. And somehow, what was weird was I was doing my net worth statement and I was like, because I missed it last month. And I was like, how did my net worth go up? That was so weird. So even when I was spending really crazy, my net worth somehow went up. And so I don't even think I'm in that snowball effect yet, because you need to reach, I think, at least, I would say you would need to reach at least 6 figures, right? So to get to that snowball. So I was like, what? No. So I don't know. And I didn't do it on time on the 1st, and I did it throughout the month, so that could be another factor. But anyway, my purpose and intentions and actions. Yesterday was the first day in a long time that I could have bought something that I needed, because there's always something I need every day, because I work at the store. I see every day something, there's something that I have a purpose that I need. So just walk out. You need to be focused, and it could act, I think, for the first time as a cleanse. And it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I mean, I'm coming back the very next day. Needed medicine. I'm sick right now. I have medicine that's missing. And so you do this thing that's purposeful, and you're like, okay, so if I have this cleanse, and it's not like a nutritional cleanse, it's going to be a spending cleanse, to get your thoughts clear, to get everything clear, and get the stress out, and just breathe a little bit. For some people can do that with exercise. People can do that with things like yoga or something like that. And so not a nutrition expert, financial expert, or anything like that. Not a dietitian or a doctor or medical profession of any sort. Just what some opinions that I have. Thank you for your time. I don't know what the title of this is going to be. How about your intentions when wanting to? I don't know. All right. Peace.